Chilliwack, BC. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If a kickoff is returned for a TD, you can win groceries for a year. If 2 are returned for touchdowns, you could win $1 million. Here's Dustin Nielsen and Dwayne Ford.
It's a beautiful afternoon in Toronto as we get set to kick things off at BMO Field for the first time this year, and it's an early season rematch as the Argos and Bombers wrap up a home-and-home Winnipeg with a 20-7 win in Week 2. This Bombers defense excellent so far. Toronto will look to flip the script today. It's the first of 2 on TSN.
Nick Arbuckle makes his first start as a Toronto Argonaut. 4-3 as a starter with Calgary in 2019, filling in for injured Bo Levi Mitchell. Zach Collaros undefeated as the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He looks to keep that role going.
His head coach, Michael Shea, 2019 Grey Cup champion, 4 consecutive seasons with double-digit victories, off to a good start this year. 3-6 on the road last year in the regular season, and then obviously what they were able to accomplish in the postseason. Ryan Dinwiddie, the 45th head coach in franchise history. His first home game here, and he'll be coaching against a team that he played for and started the 2007 Grey Cup for as well. He'll be watching on here in front of the crowd at BMO as we get set. An early season home and home, 20-7 last week. Dustin Nielsen and Dwayne Ford with you, and thank you for joining us for the first half of the doubleheader here on TSN. We are underway, and that'll be picked up and brought all the way up at the right side of the field, cutting in towards midfield, and that is an excellent return to start this ball game by Braverman.
Yeah, Nick Arbuckle and this Toronto Argonaut offense afforded fantastic field position out near midfield. Arbuckle came on, saw action last week in the game in Winnipeg versus these very Blue Bombers. 10 of 19 in that one in his first action in double blue.
He is 0-1 in his career against the Bombers. And he'll have pretty good field position here at home. 1st and 10 from his own 54 to start for Arbuckle. He's going to keep it near side. That is complete. Wasted no time getting it in the hands of Eric Rogers. And here's a look at the starting offense brought to you by Expedia.
We'll take a look at this offensive line. The rookie Peter Nicastro continues, making his 3rd consecutive start at left guard for the Argonauts. In the receiving core, we'll see a little bit more of Curly Gittins Jr., 2nd-year man out of Laurier in that receiving core. Juwan Breskison down with a knee injury. He's on the 6-game injured list.
Slide Ricky Collins Jr. into the slot here today as they try to get something done against this Winnipeg defense that has been so good so far this season, allowing just a single offensive touchdown in each of their first 2 games. Now Arbuckle on 2nd and short, trying to push ahead. A little bit of a stumble, but found some space to the left of the line, and that'll be a 1st down. And we'll take a look at this Winnipeg defense.
One for Winnipeg, so much is driven by the versatility and pass rush efforts of Willie Jefferson. He'll be all over the field leading that defensive line. Of course, the linebacking core. Terrific game last week for the Canadian Jesse Briggs out of McGill. And on the back end, keep an eye on Dietrich Nichols. Rookie playing that boundary halfback spot has been a very pleasant surprise in the early going.
Here's Arbuckle working 1st and 10 from that Winnipeg 45. Hands it off, one quick spin move, but really nowhere to go after that by John White, who had 111 yards last week. Nowhere to go against that Bombers front to start this game.
Always important. We talk all the time about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers pass rush and those 2 bookends, right? Willie Jefferson and Jackson Jeffcoat, their ability to get after it. So what the Argos are able to do in the run game, get good production on 1st down, stay out of those 2nd and long passing situations, obviously works to their advantage in a big way.
That's what they find themselves in right now. 2nd and 10 here for Arbuckle on the first drive of the football game. Has some time. He's going to go downfield, and that one misses the intended target. He was trying to go back to Eric Rogers, who already has a catch in this ball game, and that will bring up 3rd down, and Boris Beattie will trot out onto the field.
Well, Rogers working out of the slot, just running that quick out. Trying to stem his man to create leverage.
It will be a 52-yard field goal attempt for Boris Bede. He's just 2 of 5 on the season. Has hit from 54, though. That was a career long earlier this year. This one, 52, straight away. Bede lets it fly, has the leg, and it is good. 52 yards for Boris Bede to get the Argos on the board, and some confidence for him here early in this ball game as he puts his team on top 3-0. Zach Collaros will have a chance to answer back here on the road in Toronto when we return. Well, first possession of the game for that man, Zach Collaros. Big week last week. 40 pass attempts, second highest of his career. So last week against this team, he was throwing the ball a lot, Dwayne.
Yeah, he certainly was. And, you know, I think for any fan of the Canadian Football League, it's great to see Zach Collaros playing at the level that he has played since joining the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean, this is a guy who had established himself as an MOP-type candidate before injuries derailed his career a little bit. But, you know, as Zach said, this isn't a comeback. I didn't go anywhere. He's just glad to be back doing his thing.
Healthy and ready to go again here this season. Back here in Toronto where he started, really took off in Hamilton. Oliveira there to his left. Collaros pressured, hit from behind as he let that one go. He got absolutely popped on his first pass attempt of the ball game as Dexter McCoyle came around and got him.
On the Toronto Argonauts, certainly sending a message. Watch from the right side of your screen. McCoyle, 26, unblocked around the edge from that backside.
Dexter McCoyle back here in the Canadian Football League. Full-time, 11 tackles. 1 for a loss already this season. Collaros now 2nd and 10. Has time this time. Will complete that. And lunging ahead just over 40. First catch of the year for Darvin Adams, back and healthy here for the visitors.
The always productive Darvin Adams, the most experienced member of that Blue Bomber receiving corps.
Kenny Lawler has done a good job over the first couple of games, picking up some of that workload. Left vacant by the injury to Adams. A little bit of a wobbly kick that'll come down at the 34. Braverman's got it again, and now he's going to try to find some room. Runs by that flag that's down on the field. He'll be taken down at the 40. Pretty good effort to try to keep that thing alive as Nick Arbuckle will get the ball yet again. Led his team to 3 points on their opening drive here at home. They've got a 3-0 lead. Arbuckle will look to add to that as his team comes back on the field next. CFL on TSN keeps rolling tonight as the Red Blacks take on the Rough Riders. Catch it immediately following this game, only on TSN. That's how the doubleheader works. When this one's done, the next one starts, and it's Matt Nichols and Cody Fajardo. Fajardo's been excellent so far this season.
Yeah, well, the Riders in general have been excellent thus far. And the Red Blacks off to a strong start themselves. A win in Edmonton in week 1, coming off the bye. We'll see what they can do for an encore.
Arbuckle starts on his own 49, and a quick jump. Jamal Campbell was like, it's him, it's him.
I don't know if I've ever seen someone so excited to call offside.
Offside. Winnipeg, number 5. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
Willie Jefferson caught by everybody, but especially Jamal Campbell.
Yeah, Willie Jefferson, dangerous enough without a head start.
Arbuckle will line up again, like we mentioned, a 52-yard field goal from Boris Bede on the opening drive of the game here for Arbuckle. Everybody to the right side here for the quarterback, making his first start with Toronto. And that's where they're going to swing it out. Oh, and now they're going to, thought about a shot. Little hesitation, had me fooled. And they'll carry it down inside the 40. Interesting play there, and Davaris Daniels makes the most of it.
Yeah, sets up looking like a bubble screen, so you're going to see the inside receiver is just going to bubble back. Keep an eye on the outside, widest receiver going deep. When he's covered, you get a great read, frankly, by the inside man. If the shot was there, he'd take it. If not, tuck it and run. Keep it simple.
Great read by Daniels. A little trickery here by the Argos, as they're able to move the ball on this Bombers defense, which hasn't been easy so far this year, and they know about that. Here's Arbuckle. That's complete. Near side, down the sideline, and inside the 25 as they continue to move the ball.
And DJ Foster out of Arizona State, catching that quick screen. A couple of nice blocks along the way. It's maybe a little bit of a sign of things to come for the Toronto Argonauts offensively, dressing the two American running backs with Foster joining White in that backfield. Indication that they tend to give the backfield a lot of work.
Arbuckle quickly. That's complete, and that's going to be another first down back to Tavares Daniels. And boy, Toronto moving the ball extremely well here early in this game.
Well, Tavares Daniels and Nick Arbuckle, a couple of guys who arrive here in Toronto having some familiarity with Ryan Dinwiddie's offensive system from Calgary. Looking very much on the same page on that one. Great timing.
We are here in game 3, and this is the first time that a team has been in the red zone against the Bombers so far this season. It's Arbuckle and the Argos offense. John White will take it, cuts it back up, down to the 10, and a pickup of close to 3 yards on first down that time for John White.
Yeah, White over 100 yards in the game last week against the Bombers.
Now over 140 on the season for White. They'll set up 2nd and 7 here on the Bombers 10. Putting up just 7 points in the first half of this home and home. They've got 3 already, and they're looking for more with Arbuckle at the helm. White will move out to the left. They'll hand it off. A little bit of room. Foster trying to cut it back, and he's in. Touchdown, Argos! DJ Foster takes it to the house, and the lead grows to 9.
Well, halfway through the first quarter, and I'm already intrigued by this Toronto Argonaut 1-2 punch in the backfield. Get a look at all the action Foster's going to line up in that backfield next to his quarterback. Nice job on the kick out by the pulling right tackle, Jamal Campbell. And a great cut. See the respect that the Bombers have for Foster's speed, making sure they get that outside leverage. He presses the point of attack, gets them to overcommit before cutting it back.
Extra points is good off the leg of Beattie, and the lead is now 10 for Toronto in their home opener. DJ Foster to the end zone for the first time in his CFL career.
Love you, Mama.
10-yard touchdown scamper for DJ Foster. Had a 14-yard catch earlier in the drive, and they've wasted no time mixing him in so far here today.
Yeah, give the Bombers something different to think about, right? Different personnel package.
Talking a little bit earlier in the week with the head coach of the Argos, saying that Arbuckle just understands that offense. They've had such a connection over the time in Calgary, and I think we've watched that. We've witnessed it here in the first quarter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even talking to Nick Arbuckle, he talked about the first time the two of them met, but really just in off-season minicamp, and how the two of them clicked in terms of the way they see the game.
Charles Nelson takes this and works his way back up to the 24 before he's popped on the return. Here's a look at that touchdown drive for the home side.
Yeah, definitely mixing things up a little bit. This was the big play, Tavares Daniels with the slot back option. For the running backs playing a big role. Whether play action or catching the ball, you see that tandem of Foster and White in the backfield together.
Move out to the left. They'll hand it off. Foster 24 total yards on the drive that ended with that touchdown right there. John White obviously mixed in as well, and now Zach Collaros will look to answer here. Down 10 on the road, first road game of the season for the Bombers, and that handoff really nowhere to go that time for Oliveira.
Yeah, Oliveira continuing in that Blue Bomber backfield in place of the injured Andrew Harris. Winnipeg native has been pretty impressive thus far, particularly in his starting debut. The league's performers of the week in week 1 with over 100 yards on the ground.
Does come into this game, comes into this week, second in the league in rushing. And James Wilder Jr., who had a big game on Thursday for the Elks. Collaros looking to throw this time. Pressure in his face, goes over the top, up for grabs and picked off by Toronto. Just inside the 35, Dexter McCoyle waited as it fell into his arms.
A couple of those veteran newcomers on the Toronto defense combined to make this happen. Keep an eye on Charleston Hughes. He's going to loop from the right side. Big twist across 2 gaps to the inside. He gets right in Collaros' face with the hit. You know, we say it all the time. A sack is a bonus. You're rushing the quarterback to try and force him to make mistakes, and that's exactly what happened. A hurried throw.
Looked like Muamba had come across in front before that ball got into Olatarski, who he was targeting, and McCoyle was there as well. So a stunning start here with the Bombers and the start that they've had so far this season. It was 20-7, and it certainly wasn't a blowout last week, but I think the Argos have to be ecstatic with what they've got going here. A 10-point lead in the ball on the opposition's 35 for Arbuckle. Juicy spot to be in here for Toronto. Arbuckle, near side, Ricky Collins Jr. gets 1 block. And that'll pick up about 4 yards on the first down. First catch of the game for Ricky Collins.
Well, if you notice on the touchdown drive and continuing here, you're seeing a lot of play action, whether handoffs, fake handoffs on that play action going to the running back, John White. The Argos' most productive offensive weapon last week. You know, when you're Winnipeg, you see this guy rushes for over 100 yards against you. Coming into the next game, what can we do better? We've got to play the run better. So you know that's their focus. And I think the Argos have done a very good job sort of with the counter-attack to that. Go play action, knowing that Winnipeg may overcommit anytime they see a fake to John White.
Training staff getting a look there at Ricky Collins. We will be back here with Toronto looking for more. Well, he has a 10-point lead. He's 4 of 5 for more on Nick Arbuckle. Let's send it down to SportsCenter's Jermaine Franklin.
Yes, Dustin. You know, Nick Arbuckle had a boatload of emotions when he was named the Week 3 starter, but the one that rose to the top was excitement. This is Arbuckle's first start in 2 years. His last start, August 2019, when he was a Stampeder, had a great performance. 31 completions, 4 touchdowns, and he was hoping to pick up where he left off. Obviously, it was a long time, but it looks like Arbuckle is doing that. He had one challenge to overcome, had a lower body injury, a hip and glute issue during training camp. Didn't get the reps he was hoping for, but Arbuckle says he's 100% now, good to go, and I think the proof is in the pudding in this first quarter.
He's looked good so far. He's got a 10-point lead to prove it. It just looks comfortable, doesn't it?
Well, he certainly does. And again, there's a level of comfort between he and his head coach and offensive coordinator, Ryan Dinwiddie.
Here is Arbuckle over the middle. That's complete. Goes back to Gavaris Daniels. And that is awfully close to a Toronto first down. Might be just a couple inches shy of it. And Arbuckle will push ahead. Needed safely to get to the 24, and that will be enough. It'll be a first down. Toronto's offense will stay on the field after the Dexter McCoyle interception.
And the Argonauts dominated both the time of possession and the field position battle in this game. So much of it thus far played deep in Winnipeg territory.
Spreading that ball around here in this offense so far is Arbuckle. 3 receivers to his right. Thought about Daniels again. Now he's going to be pressured. Has to move to his right. Throws it over the head of Daniels and up into the crowd as he felt a little bit of pressure, really for the first time today, that they caused some issues for Arbuckle.
Yeah, and it looked like there may have been some confusion as it ends up that Declan Cross, the fullback, lined up as a tight end in this set. As you see Arbuckle kind of look back as if he's coming backside. There was really no one backside. Cross isn't releasing on a route. He's just part of the protection scheme. So heavy with 4 receivers out to the right side there.
Arbuckle with John White to his left, works from the Winnipeg 25. Arbuckle towards the end zone, and that is batted down neatly there by Dietrich Nichols.
You know, it's obviously early in the season, but you feel like a little bit like we might be seeing lightning strike twice in this Winnipeg Blue Bombers secondary. We'll see Eric Rogers come out of the slot here, but Nichols, a rookie, playing that halfback spot, particularly at the boundary half spot. One of the toughest spots to play for a newcomer to the Canadian Football League, but he's looked very, very good so far. And you think about Marcus Sayles arriving in Winnipeg a few years ago and settling in very quickly, becoming one of the top halfbacks in the league before moving on to BC and free agency. Bombers very fortunate to be able to find youngster in Nichols stepping in as effectively as he has.
Straight away for Beattie from 31, and that is good. And Winnipeg now trailing by 13 here in the first quarter. Zach Collaros looking to get his team on the board here, and is stunningly down 13 in the early going. Here's a look at their offense.
Along that offensive line, Stanley Bryant, former most outstanding lineman in the Canadian Football League, the anchor of that group. We talked about the receiving core and the return of Darvin Adams, but take note, Nick Dembski out of the lineup with injury for this rematch. Kelvin McKnight, the American, gets the start in his place. Bombers started an extra Canadian in week 2, so they are able to make that exchange with the American replacing the injured Canadian receiver Dembski.
McKnight, 3 of the 4 targets he was able to catch last week for 20 yards. Collaros starts from his own 35. That one is bobbled and will fall incomplete as he got rid of it quickly, but Rasheed Bailey couldn't hold on.
There's a look at that Toronto Argonaut defense. Already a couple of early changes to that D-line from the way they started the season. Coney Ely, Shane Ray, both on the injured list in that linebacking core. 2 Canadians, Mwamba and Judge, joining the team via free agency in the offseason. We'll keep an eye on Shaq Richardson in the secondary. Former Stampeder joined the team late in 2019, offers some veteran leadership.
Just 1 completion so far for Collaros. He's going to take a shot deep this time, and that was up for grabs at the 35 and broken up by this Argos defense. Jamal Peters in coverage.
And you see the height, the length of Peters on that corner. Big guy playing that spot, 6'2", over 200 pounds. He's in the lineup for the injured Robertson Daniel. Doing a nice job on that one.
3 consecutive 2-and-outs for Winnipeg. Leggio will let it fly from the 25. Taken at the 30 by Braverman. And he loses a couple of yards. Good pressure downfield that time by the Bombers cover team. And Arbuckle got to be feeling pretty confident about what has been happening with this Toronto Argos offense so far. He's 5 of 8 for 44 yards.
Yeah, and it has definitely, as you said earlier, Dustin, has looked very comfortable. Great timing between he and his receivers on the routes that require that. Poise in the pocket from Arbuckle. You know, you got to remember this is a guy who got nicked a little bit during training camp, so his reps were limited coming into the season. Obviously, no preseason games. So you got to think he's just that extra week of health and reps have put him in a better position to be successful.
They start this drive on their own 28. Goes out to White, nowhere to go. It's by far their worst field position to start a drive, and they'll go again here from the 28 after no gain for John White on that one.
Oh, well defended. The hitch screen to White. Nick Taylor from his halfback spot beating the block to make a play just behind the line of scrimmage.
Loss of a yard sets up 2nd and 11 for Arbuckle. Pressure coming right up the middle. Arbuckle steps up, read it well, drops it off to Rogers. Rogers is close to a first down. And this will depend on the spot, but it's right there. And it will be a first down. Nice play, Arbuckle to Rogers.
Yeah, keep an eye on the middle linebacker, Adam Bighill, timing up that blitz. Nice help there from John White, and nice escape from Arbuckle. Just watch him slide up, eyes downfield. The whole way able to find Rogers out around that first down marker.
Clock ticks down here in the first quarter. Home side with a 13-0 advantage. Arbuckle, wide side of the field. That is complete. Tackle is broken, and they will push ahead. Tavares Daniels again. Another big pickup for Daniels, and he has been involved. That's his 3rd catch of the football game.
And I like the formation here, giving Tavares Daniels a little bit of room to go to work. The Argos went 3 receivers into the boundary, just 2 to the field, giving Daniels plenty of space.
Josh Miller had his foot wrapped up, but couldn't bring him down, and Daniels got a few extra yards out of that. This will be the final play of the first quarter. 4 targets to the left here for Arbuckle. He'll hand it off to White. White finds some room, lunges ahead, and will be just shy of another first down for Toronto's offense that is looking much different and much better than it did in week 2 against this Bombers team out in Winnipeg. They're in full control, up 13-0 in the early going. Home opener for the Argos. Going good so far. Oh, what a start for the Toronto Argonauts is, boy, 13-0. Really, it's been all Toronto so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually a guy saying that statistics are overrated, but so far in this game, the stats really do tell the story. Winnipeg shut down offensively. You mentioned it just a few minutes ago. 3 consecutive 2-and-outs for the Blue Bombers in this one, and the Argos looking very much in sync in Nick Arbuckle's first start in double blue.
Yeah, Arbuckle has been very creative so far. This offense has been doing a very good job against the Bombers, and you get that early field goal on that first possession, and you feel like maybe that just got this confidence going for this group, and they've been able to build off it since then. Obviously, Winnipeg, a team with some offensive weapons, no doubt about it, but here on the road, down 13-0, certainly not ideal.
Yeah, and I think on both sides of the ball, we've seen difference-making plays that are examples of the Argos in this home and home, coming up with some different looks for the rematch. We saw the Dexter McCoyle blitz off the backside defensively, and obviously the insertion of DJ Foster in that backfield on offense.
John White with another first down for Toronto, looking to follow up a good week last week.
Yeah, we got to look at the Argo running back. 12 carries, 111 yards on the ground for the very resilient veteran, former Edmonton and BC running back. Spent a little bit of time in Hamilton as well. Think about some of the injuries that he has overcome in his career to be able to still do the things he does.
2nd and 10 on the 43 for Arbuckle. Or 1st and 10, and that one complete. Back to Rogers once again, and Rogers goes and gets it, and will be just short of a first down.
You know, we may not give this catch all the love it deserves after the Eugene Lewis catch last night along the sidelines, but I mean, to me, this is just Eric Rogers doing what Eric Rogers does best, using his height and athleticism to outreach the smaller defender.
Third catch of the game for Rogers. Tavares Daniels involved heavily so far. That one into the back left arm of Daniels, and he goes down to get it at the 20s. We just mentioned Daniels and Rogers and Daniels, and back to number 80 this time.
Yeah, he'll be running that quick slant from the right side of your screen. Those guys working in tandem on the boundary side of the field. Tavares Daniels made this look easy, but tough catch with all your momentum going towards the middle of the field, and that ball thrown slightly behind.
Argos marching on here once again. Back in the red zone. Daniels in behind his quarterback. He'll give it to White. And this time White only able to pick up a couple of yards before he is shut down by that Bombers D.
This will bring the Argos back into their 5-receiver set. Second and long situation, but once again, in scoring position. Argos with over 11 minutes time of possession in the first quarter of this ball game. We'll see what toll that takes on the Winnipeg defense as this game wears on.
Complete control from the Argos in front of this home crowd for a first time in a long time. Arbuckle pressure coming down. He's going to go to his right. He's hammered down. Ball pops loose, and it's going to be scooped up and brought down the left side. This could go all the way back to the house, and it will. Touchdown, Argos. Bombers, rather, as Briggs scoops it up, and nobody was going to get to him, and Jesse Briggs untouched, 80 yards.
Well, unblocked man coming off the back side of this protection. An eye on the left side of this formation. Arbuckle feels it coming, but just can't accelerate away from it fast enough. Terrific strip there. Jesse Briggs, the former McGill star, BC native, is off to the races.
And it was never in doubt. Probably about 15 yards into that return, you knew he was going to go. And the Bombers' offense has not been able to provide any life, but the defense does step up here for them. Jeffcoat bats it loose. Briggs finishes it. And all of a sudden, the Bombers back in this game, and it's been an eventful football game so far.
Well, it sure has. Jackson Jeffcoat closed that gap on Nick Arbuckle. And I mean, Arbuckle is not an unathletic quarterback. He can move around a little bit back there, but
I couldn't see where it was coming.
Jeffcoat just closed the gap. Great strip coming from behind.
Rapini out for the extra point. Puts it through. 13-7. The Bombers on the board. They still trail, but they are on the board. Jeffcoat all over Arbuckle. He started it. Briggs finished it. Bombers in business. Now look at Jesse Briggs. He forced a fumble earlier in the season. This time he scoops one up and takes it back for the major.
Yeah, seventh-year man getting an opportunity to get some extended reps on defense these last couple of weeks. The Kelowna High School product making the most of the opportunity.
Argos had this thing on cruise control, but that has changed now. On the return, back up to the 37. Now we'll take another look at this sack on Arbuckle to knock the ball loose.
Yeah, you'll see Jeffcoat here, but keep an eye on the left tackle. Deshaun Allen, he looks like he's thinking the linebacker's coming on blitz, and he might have to squeeze down inside. Late getting off his mark. And when you're playing defensive end like Jackson Jeffcoat, a late start.
Wrong guy to do that against? Is that what you're saying?
I'd say so. Jeffcoat makes him pay. Coming free around the edge. Sack and strip. And Briggs with 6.
Arbuckle from the 37, back to Rogers, and this is complete. Rogers stays on his feet and pushes it ahead to the 50.
Great conversation with Eric Rogers this week as he talked about the fact he's not necessarily the fastest, most athletic receiver in the league, but just kind of has a feel for where to get to, how to get open. And he's done that very well for Arbuckle tonight. Settling into a soft spot there.
Arbuckle. That is complete. On the near side for Ricky Collins Jr. here. Appears to be okay after being injured a little bit earlier on. But Eric Rogers busy in this game and obviously a great career so far.
Yeah, has had a couple of phenomenal seasons. Really, and I mean, this is a guy, you see what he has done in this ball game so far, establishing himself very much so as Nick Arbuckle's go-to guy, and that's what this receiving core needed.
He's been targeted 6 times already today, caught 4 of them for 54 yards, a long of 24. DJ Foster in behind Arbuckle. Arbuckle will give it to him. Foster pushing ahead, spinning ahead. That's a hard 7 yards he just picked up, but it's another first down for Toronto.
Yeah, again, Winnipeg defense has been on the field a lot in the first half of this football game. The Argo offensive line with that running game has been physical. Argo's using 2 running backs, keeping them fresh, sending fresh legs at them. Nice game there for Mr. Foster.
He will stay in there, standing to the right of Arbuckle. DeVaris Daniels will swoop in behind his quarterback. Foster again, a nice cut, and then a good lunge ahead. He'll take it down to the Bombers' 30. It's been a really nice 1-2 punch here with White and Foster so far today.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing them get involved, not just in terms of the ground game, but we've seen Nick Arbuckle throw the ball their way a couple of times as well.
Second and 6 on the Winnipeg 30. Arbuckle with 3 targets out to his right. He's going to look left. He'll throw left, and that is too high. Once again, trying to go back to number 8 there, Eric Rogers. 7th attempt at Rogers today, and this one, the receiver really didn't have a crack at it.
Yeah, just kind of over-accelerated his rhythm on that one, recognizing that the Bombers were sending pressure on second down. A couple blitzing linebackers.
Another field goal attempt for Boris Beatty. He's 2 for 2 so far today, including a 52-yarder on their first drive of the ball game. This one will be a 37-yard attempt for Beatty. Can he go 3 for 3? Yes, he can. Perfect day so far for Boris Beatty. Argo's pretty good day as well. 16-7, they lead. Coverage of the Women's World Hockey Championship keeps on rolling tomorrow from Calgary as Team Canada takes on Russia. Puck drop 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, only on TSN. And that is the 14-month-old niece of Tessa Bonhomme as we talk about Hockey Canada. Sloan at her first CFL game. And I don't talk baby, but she looks like she's enjoying herself. Claros maybe not enjoying himself so far in the game. Good looking Jays hat there as well.
Having fun. She's clearly an Argos fan.
Second completion of the game for Collaros. Winnipeg still looking for their first down of this ball game. Toronto's already got 12. Oliveira will finally get that first down as he takes it up to the 45.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about that time of possession, Dustin, through the first quarter and a half of this football game. It is absolutely critical that the Winnipeg offense start putting some drives together. Obviously to get some points on the board, but also to get their defense a little bit of a break here.
Just under 7 minutes remaining here in the second quarter. First of 2 on TSN today. Red, Blacks, and Riders later on. Collaros looking downfield. That's up for grabs over the head of Darvin Adams. Adams does have 1 catch here in his return to the Bombers so far.
Yeah, Collaros had plenty of time kind of waiting, I think, for Adams to find an opening. It looked from up above here like his best option might actually have been the check down to his running back, Oliveira, in the flat. As you saw, coverage dropped off from the flat to take away that little out to Darvin Adams.
Crowd trying to get behind this Argos defense. Collaros quickly gets rid of this one, and that is just straight up dropped by Kenny Lawler, who I believe that's the first time he's been targeted so far here today.
Yeah, Lawler, who had 10 catches, 99 yards in the win last week for Winnipeg, has been quiet thus far today. No doubt he'll want to get another target in his direction very quickly so he can erase the memory of that one.
Legio to kick it away from his own 36. And that one into the waiting arms there of Braverman and out of bounds. Toronto on top, 16-7. Jackson Jeffcoat, one of the bright spots so far here today for the Bombers. For more on Winnipeg, let's send it down to Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, Dustin. One word that we always hear Bombers players and coaching staff use is physical or physicality. And football is a contact sport. So I asked Michael Shea what they mean when they say they need to be physical. He said that it's a mentality. It's something that they have every single play that they can't let up. It's something that you can see, but you can't measure. It feels different when you're watching the film after the game. And like I said, every play, and we saw the difference when Jeffcoat was physical, and it caused the turnover and got the first score.
Thank you very much, Jermaine. 5th catch of the day for Daniels. Jeffcoat right in the face of Arbuckle there.
Once again, yeah, they'll get to know each other well today, I'm sure. You know, I mean, I always think of physicality as, on a football field, sort of that imposition of your will on your opponent. You know, a little bit of intimidation, knowing that you're going to be relentless.
Arbuckle, pressure in his face again, and he throws that one away. And finally, some consistent pressure coming from the Winnipeg defense. Like Willie Jefferson had something to say there to Arbuckle at the end of that play.
And after seeing the Bombers' offense move the ball a little bit, the defense comes up with a much-needed 2-and-out as well. And perhaps an opportunity for a short field here, particularly if they can get a good return.
His kick, not a good one. Bounces at the 50. Nelson will pick it up there. And he is wrapped up quickly. Nowhere to go that time. Zach Collaros has Darvin Adams back in the lineup. Here's what he had to say about him.
he's a great receiver. You know, his body language, you know, coming in and out of routes is very quarterback friendly. You know, he's always in the right place at the right time, so, you know, it gives the quarterback a lot of confidence, you know, to throw to a spot, knowing that he's going to be there and make a play. You know, obviously his physical gifts speak for themselves, but, you know, mentally and just as a presence in the locker room and in the huddle, it'll be huge for us.
Kelvin McKnight with the catch. And Adams so far today, 1 catch on 3 targets, but such a big piece back in this lineup and very important for this offense moving forward.
Yeah, he certainly is. And you heard Zach Collaros talk about the experience of football IQ, and you know, a guy who gets the job done for you. You see him getting involved in the blocking scheme here, trying to spring McKnight, but gets the job done for you, whatever is asked of him within this Winnipeg offense.
Empty backfield there with Collaros, who gets rid of it quickly, and that will be complete on the far side of the field, right back to Kenny Lawler this time after a recent drop.
That'll get Kenny Lawler back on the horse. Nice sideline grab there to move the sticks. The Bombers, without a receiver in the CFL's top 20 last year, Lawler was actually their leading receiver. Darvin Adams limited to 13 games on the season.
Oh, that is batted down before they could swing it out. Charleston Hughes got his hand on it. Looked like Collaros was trying to get it to Rasheed Bailey.
Yeah, Hughes, number 39, is lined up on the right side of that defense. Quick reaction to get the hands up as he sees Collaros turn his head that way.
Well, he almost brought that thing in.
Sure did.
Procedure, no end, Winnipeg. The penalties decline. 2nd down.
2nd and 10 here now for Collaros. Oliveira to his left. Darvin Adams all by himself, up to the right of Collaros. A little bit of time. He's going to take a shot. Darvin Adams wide open. Got it! Adams touchdown! Welcome back, Darvin Adams. A deep shot from Collaros. And the Bombers cut into this Argos lead.
Let's take a look at Darvin Adams going to work. He's nice little out and up look there. Froze the corner, Jamal Peters. Collaros spots him off the break.
Didn't take long for Darvin Adams as we creep towards the end of his first half of the season. And he's got a touchdown, and Jamal Peters was really nowhere to be seen after that move.
Yeah. Yeah, just got caught flat-footed.
Rapinoe out from 32. And that is good for the extra point. And it's a 2-point game. Argos at home on top, but the Bombers with some momentum, courtesy the arm of Collaros, as he finds Adams back in the lineup, back in the end zone.
Mama, I love you, Mama. I know y'all watching. Shout out to Ken, man. Team Mama, I love you. I know you in Winnipeg.
51-yard touchdown to Darvin Adams. The team only had 31 yards of net offense prior to that big strike. So the offense had struggled getting going. And then one big play to Darvin Adams changes things. This will be taken just inside the 15. And back up to about the 30 for Braverman.
And I want you to keep an eye on Darvin Adams on the outside here. He's going to stem inside first. And then just a quick step outside gets the corner, Peters, to sit. And then he turns it upfield and is off to the races. Just a quick step there. Gets Peters to sit, kind of flip his hips to the outside. And then he can't recover as Darvin Adams turns it back up to the inside.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
That's what I'm supposed to say. Welcome back.
We've reset the game clock to 2 minutes and 50
It was
seconds.
a 4-play, 63-yard drive that only took 1 minute and 42 seconds for the Bombers to claw their way right back into this ball game. They trail 16-14, less than 3 minutes until halftime. Arbuckle and this Toronto offense that started extremely well, looking to get back at it again. Arbuckle here, Jefferson's all over, knocked the ball loose. But Arbuckle reaches out with his left hand and hauls it in after he was taken down by Willie Jefferson.
Yes, you're reminded of the go-go gadget arms of Willie Jefferson. That no quarterback is ever really out of his reach. Arbuckle thought he was going to be off to the races here as Jefferson took that step upfield, but quick grab.
He kind of made that move and realized it wasn't getting him anywhere.
Yeah.
Here's Arbuckle again. Arbuckle near side. DeMaris Daniels has it and he reaches ahead close to the 45.
Well, that tandem of DeVaris Daniels and Eric Rogers has been dynamite on the receiving end of Nick Arbuckle's passes here in the first half. Two busy boatmen.
10 completions to those two guys. Here's Arbuckle. This time he's in trouble and he is going to be taken down. Getting in there is Jake Thomas. First sack of the year for Thomas.
Yeah, Jake Thomas, one of the veteran leaders, senior members of this Blue Bomber team, the former Acadia Axeman, gets home on this one.
Now Winnipeg front four cranking it up a notch on Arbuckle here late in the second quarter. 2nd and 15 now from his own 40. Big Hill coming after him. Arbuckle gets it away. No man's land. And two Bombers collide at midfield. And that looked like it hurt. Brandon Alexander, one of them.
Looks like
Josh Miller? Josh Miller, the other one.
Keep an eye first at the line of scrimmage. Great move by Adam Bighill on the pass rush. Little friendly fire there in the Blue Bomber secondary.
Miller's helmet falls off. It looks like Brandon Alexander did take the worst of it. He's still sitting when they're both still down on the field being looked at. But we mentioned it the last couple of plays here. You saw Big Hill didn't get there in time this time, but he did cause some issues. Winnipeg starting to crank it up a little bit defensively, and it hasn't been as easy for Arbuckle here in the second quarter.
Well, good to see the teammates smiling as they make their way off the field. And probably fortunate for the Bombers defensively that occurred on second down and not on first, as you would have to suddenly shuffle your secondary rather significantly when you lose two guys at once.
Edie set to kick this away from just inside his own 30. Less than 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. That'll be taken at the 28. Back up to the 40. Over the 40, down to the Winnipeg 43 on the return there for Charles Nelson. Here, Adams, you're coming back out here now. How good does it feel? You start the year, you get injured in camp, you miss the first couple of games, and you come back and you hit a big one early.
Winnipeg, number 54. 10-yard penalty. First down, Winnipeg.
Well, field position taking a bit of a hit there, but yeah, certainly for Darvin Adams, you know, you talk about kind of wanting to get the monkey off your back, right? In your first game of the season. With that 51-yard touchdown grab, he does in a big, big way.
Maybe that's the play that gets Zach Collaros going as well. He's just 5 of 12 so far. touchdown and an interception. He's got 95 seconds to work here. Starts inside his own 20. That's complete. Pretty good job to remain on his feet from Calvin McKnight.
Yeah, McKnight again is in the ball game in place of the injured Nick Dembski, and brings a little bit of that sort of running back, kick returner skill set. Get him the ball close to the line of scrimmage and a little bit of space, and try to let him go to work. But the Argonauts do a decent job swarming to the ball here.
5-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
It's coming back. Rasheed Bailey on an offside. Will take away the short gain from Calvin McKnight. No Nick Dembski, as Dwayne mentioned. 13 catches already on the season. 138 yards. He's been a big part of the offense as Coach O'Shea watches on.
I mean, Dembski is so important because he's unique in terms of his skill set and some of the play packages they're able to put together involving him.
Now 1st and 15 for Collaros. Pressured, gets it away, and that will be complete. Came back around to McKnight, and there's a flag for a late hit on the play as well. Pretty good escapability from Collaros to get that ball out.
Yeah, just buying a little bit of time. He knows he's got McKnight coming across the formation, coming across the field here. And he's just got to buy a little bit of time.
Major foul, Toronto, number 12. Unnecessary roughness, that's a 15-yard penalty. First down, Winnipeg.
That's Jamal Peters, who was beaten on the Adams touchdown earlier in the quarter.
The first Toronto penalty of this ball game. You know, it looked like one a little bit where Peters maybe had sort of lost track of where he was on the field a little bit. Maybe didn't realize he was as close to the sideline as he was.
Empty backfield for Collaros, far side. That's another completion. Back to McKnight. Makes two-man miss. And then lunges ahead to the 42. As Calvin McKnight getting involved heavily here in the final moments of the second quarter.
Yeah, lots of looks for McKnight, not necessarily a lot of yards to be had.
Second down, Argonauts fans. Time to make some noise for your double defense.
Crowd here, BMO trying to get behind this Toronto defense. 2nd and 3 for Collaros this time. Once again, quickly gets rid of it. That goes off one set of hands and into another, but it's out of bounds. And that will bring up 3rd down. Lawler was the last guy to get a crack at it. I think Darvin Adams got a piece too.
Yeah, off the hand of Adams on the out. Deflects off his hand, and then Lawler was right on the sideline. Here you'll see there it is. The quick out, reaches with one hand, tips it up. Lawler just unable to make the squeeze.
Braverman waiting for this back at his own 25 with less than a minute to go here in the first half. Dustin Nielsen and Dwayne Ford with you. Kate the panel coming up. Braverman will take it at his 30. Braverman back to the 40. Braverman right up the middle to about the 47-48 where he is stopped. And that is where Arbuckle will get the ball likely one last time here in the first half.
Well, terrific start to this ball game for Nick Arbuckle and the Toronto Argonaut offense. But you'd say probably the turning point in terms of momentum would be the Jackson Jeffcoat sack and strip that led to a Jesse Briggs fumble recovery for a touchdown. The Bombers have kind of taken control a little bit since then.
It had been all Toronto up to that point, and they were marching again, which is really what made that play by Jeffcoat so huge. Looks like Jeffcoat might have moved a little bit earlier there. Arbuckle down the field. That one up for grabs. Ricky Collins tried to haul that in. Covered well by Nick Taylor.
Good look here.
Offside. Winnipeg, number 94. 5-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
Jeffcoat just a little early as he went to try to track down Arbuckle.
Yeah, Argo's trying to take advantage of the freebie there with Jeffcoat jumping, but just unable to connect. 1st and 5 doesn't look so bad near midfield.
We know Boris Beatty has a big leg, hitting 54 already this year. Arbuckle, far side, and that's going to be picked. There's a flag that flies as Alford was working on Davaris Daniels, and did he push Daniels down to get that ball?
Well, Willie Jefferson coming from the stand-up right side of your screen. Just buries Nick
Defensive
Arbuckle.
pass interference. Winnipeg, number 45. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
You can see the two men fighting for position here as that ball hung up in the air.
Alford just gave him a little bit of help, just a little bit.
Yeah, let the hands out there a little too much. Nonetheless, Coach Mike O'Shea has raved about the work of the two youngsters, Dietrich Nichols and DeAndre Alford, on that boundary side of their secondary.
Certainly within field goal range now. That one will be completed down towards the 30 to Collins. Big for Toronto if they could punch one in here after Winnipeg. It got a lot of momentum late in the first half. Even 3 points, I mean, kind of stop that bleeding heading into the room.
Yeah, exactly. Start the half strong, you want to finish strong as well.
Arbuckle, he's going to take a shot to the end zone. Daniels got him! Touchdown, Toronto! The answer late in the half, Davaris Daniels.
Well, remember what we saw Darvin Adams do a few minutes ago. A little bit of a quick move on his defender to get in behind. Watch Davaris Daniels. That hard stab to the inside. Gets Josh Miller coming downhill, thinking he's going to jump an under route. Daniels with that burst in acceleration to get vertical. Nicely executed play by quarterback and receiver.
First touchdown pass for Arbuckle with the Argos. Now they're going to go for 2. Pressure coming. Quick one. And it is broken up by DeAndre Alford as he tried to go back to Davaris Daniels, and the lead will remain 8 with 9 seconds on the clock. Alford managed to get a hand in there. Arbuckle zipped that thing in there pretty good to Daniels, but better coverage. 4-play, 63-yard drive, only took 32 seconds. Had to strike quick. That's what they did.
Yeah, just beautifully executed. You got to love the route from Davaris Daniels on the outside. And here you see Arbuckle. Saw a little hitch to get that added bite on the route from Miller. And then off to the races.
It's a 100-yard half for Davaris Daniels. You got him in fantasy this week. You're pretty happy right now. He's got the touchdown. He's got 100 yards. That's a monster day already. And we're only halfway through this game. 7 catches, 100 yards. And the touchdown for Daniels. Beatty lets it fly. Nelson slides under it at the 15, down to the 20. Nelson to the 30, working his way back and forth to get it up to the 32 with just 3 seconds on the clock. First of 2 games on TSN today. Second half of that doubleheader. Ottawa taking on the Riders.
The Riders looking to see if they can take advantage of 3 straight at home to open the season.
And they still got one more too. 4 straight total at home. Very, nice schedule for the Riders, as Collaros will just step up and take a quick knee. And after the start that Winnipeg had, they might be okay, putting 14 points on the board here. They trail 22-14. Nick Arbuckle, pretty good in his first start for the Argos. Let's send it back to Kate in the panel.
Welcome back.
And lunging ahead just a... Couple of catches and 57 yards in his return to the lineup. Darvin Adams also had that touchdown, and he is with our Jermaine Franklin.
Thank you very much. Darvin, can you talk a little bit, take us through that 57-yard touchdown reception? How good did it feel in your first game back this season?
I mean, obviously it felt good to get in the end zone, but we still got to win.
Darvin, the offense started off a little slow in that first quarter, but you guys seem to get a little momentum. How do you continue that in this second half?
You know, it starts all up front in the trenches, so, you know, we got to win up front scrimmage and just continue from there. We just got to keep going back and forth, you know, with the defense and the offense and the special teams, and we'll go from there.
Thanks for this.
Appreciate it.
No doubt he's focused as he gets ready for the second half here. An offense that did get that touchdown, but outside of that touchdown, they really haven't been able to generate much.
Yeah, it's an interesting half to break down just kind of the flow of the game. So often coaches talk about, you know, 5 big plays determining the outcome of a football game, and you could kind of make an argument that in terms of big plays so far in this game, you'd say certainly the Bombers have had 2 of them with the Jesse Briggs fumble recovery for a touchdown, the 51-yard Collaros to Adams touchdown strike. The Argos, I would say, it's been what you might call a little more of a workman-like effort to this point.
Adams not afraid to be vocal on that sideline as his team trails 22-14. Dustin Nielsen, Dwayne Ford with you. Second half of game 1 of our doubleheader here today. This will be kicked off. That's going to be a short kick, comes right down to the 40, and immediately down to the turf. And Arbuckle will head out here, second half, 178 yards in the opening half of football.
Yeah, overall, you know, I mean, Nick Arbuckle talked about it himself going into the break, that I think overall they've got to be pretty happy with the way the offense has operated. You know, you're getting lots of production out of 2 guys that you count on in Rogers. And as you see right here with the touchdown, DeVaris Daniels. But yeah, I know that for Nick Arbuckle, a guy who's seeking perfection, that fumble will loom large in his mind.
Starts on his own 39. That one, oh my goodness, a massive collision at the 50. And the Argos do not like what they just saw from Brandon Alexander, as he absolutely took advantage of DeVaris Daniels. Alexander is walking away. Daniels is down on the field.
You could see that one, you know, from our vantage point up above, kind of unfold in slow motion as you could see the defenders converging on DeVaris Daniels.
Not a good sign there, as the ball really never even really made a play at it. The ball went over his head.
He recognized that he was in what I would call a compromised position here, that he wasn't going to be able to make a play on the ball.
So in Alexander, I mean, his eyes were never on the ball. He was focused on the hit the entire time.
Yeah. You know what I mean? The question is there, I mean, it's pretty obvious that contact was made with the head. Is that where he's targeting? Brandon Alexander is certainly not a guy who has a reputation as a dirty or over-aggressive player in this league.
That was him right over there by Tavares. Reputation or not, I mean, that play in its own right, though, it's pretty aggressive.
It looked violent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is playing the receiver all the way here.
Argos O-line moved quickly there. And there is a round of applause here.
As a result of the injury on the play, the command center is allowed to automatically review the play. Therefore, we have an unnecessary roughness penalty on Winnipeg. That'll be a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, and I will say I love big hits and physical play as much as everybody, and I have often argued sometimes I feel like the pendulum has swung too far away from that, but I think you got to make a call on this one. You got to make the call that was made.
Big game for Daniels so far. Caught 7 of 8 for 100 yards in the first half. Well, the good news is Tavares Daniels walked off this field. A little bit of a smile as well, but just moments earlier, he was out after being hammered by Brandon Alexander, who did pick up a 15-yard penalty. And Daniels is just now being taken back to the room. Big piece missing now for this Toronto offense. Penalty so far in this game, Winnipeg's got 8 for 79 yards. Toronto has just 1. Arbuckle, he'll hand that off. And John White, nice pickup there on first down.
You know, you look back at that hit on Tavares Daniels, and I think that the argument from the Winnipeg point of view, part of that argument is probably going to be that Daniels was bent over, his head was down low, but I think the other thing that you have to keep in mind on the play is, well then, if he wasn't, that it's going to be helmet-to-helmet contact if he's standing straight up.
2nd and 5 for Arbuckle at the Winnipeg 51. Pressure coming, stripped to the ball, it's loose!
Deja vu.
Jeffcoat again. Who has it though? And it looks like they're able to hang on.
You see Jeffcoat come around the edge again. Presence of mind to reach a long arm out there. As Arbuckle cocks his arm back to throw the ball. Perfectly timed to pop that free.
Looks like Philip Blake, Toronto center, was able to hop on it to allow them an opportunity to kick it away. Beatty stands on his 40. Charles Nelson waiting at his 10 as Beatty gets it away just in time. And that will take a bounce to the 25 where Nelson will pick it up. Pushes it back up over the 30. And that is where Zach Collaros and the Bombers will go to work here in the third quarter of action. Collaros, 7 of 15, 90 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Dexter McCoyle making that play for the Argos.
Yeah, McCoyle was the guy who kind of got it started for the Argos defensively in the first quarter. Untouched on a blitz with a sack of Collaros on the opening series.
Winnipeg rushed the ball just 2 times in the first half of this football game. They're going to be throwing again here. And a nice spin move on the far side of the field by Bailey. And he's able to pick up close to 5 yards on first down. Didn't run a lot because they were trailing early in this game, but you like to establish something on the ground, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. Let that offensive line get into a little bit of a rhythm, wear down the opposing defense, and keep them honest, quite frankly. You never want to give a defensive line time to get into that mentality of pinning their ears back and getting into a rhythm in terms of your snap count with their get-offs, getting upfield on the pass rush.
Collaros wanting to pass again. Pressured this time. Throws it to nobody. 3 Argos defenders were in the area, but none of them could make a play on that.
Yeah, Collaros basically throwing that one into the dirt. Reserve the field position for the punt team.
Another 2 and out here for Winnipeg, who had less than 9 minutes of possession in that opening half. 21:06 to 8:54 in favor of Toronto. Even though they did climb back into this ball game in that second quarter. Leggio from his 25. Braverman waiting just inside his own 40. That's where he'll take it. And he'll only get about 5 yards before he steps out of bounds in front of 3 Winnipeg attackers. Toronto on top at home. Toronto, everyone, and Mike Miller has moved into a tie for top spot with Jason Araki's special team tackles, and Dwayne, he almost had number 191 right here, so close.
Yeah, he just ran out of field here as he's tracking down Daniel Braverman, looking to take over the record. Mike Miller from Riverview, New Brunswick, great Acadia product, coached by one of my buddies, Jeff Cummins. No doubt watching proudly.
I'm not a big stats guy, but I think he's going to get the record at some point. Here's John White. White takes it up near midfield.
You know, if he passed Bombers president Wade Miller on the list and remained employed, his odds are pretty good now. He's in the clear.
Just a matter of time for sure for Miller.
Yeah, Mike Miller, great story. He's a guy who's a defensive back in university for the Axemen. Went to the CFL Combine, but went undrafted. But has carved out a career for himself. Has been such a good special teamer that basically teams have moved him around to different positions to find ways to make sure he's on the roster because you need him to play teams.
Pressure coming on Arbuckle. That ball pops loose. And the Bombers are on it. They're back on their feet again. I think it was Brandon Alexander who eventually scooped it up. But that pressure, Arbuckle had no chance. It was a done deal. As soon as he got his hands on that ball, he was in trouble, taking some of the grass home with him.
All over him in a hurry, and maybe insult to injury for the Argos. Watch for Brandon Alexander coming right up the gut on the safety blitz, and just had the momentum. John White didn't have time to move up on him. You see how White, basically, because he's late, he's so close to the quarterback that Alexander's momentum coming from depth just knocks him back into the quarterback. Big play for the Bombers safety.
Bombers defense got this team on track in the first half, and maybe they've done it here again. They'll hand it off this time, and Oliveira will get it down to the 30, just his 3rd carry of the ball game.
Not a lot of yards to be had. The University of North Dakota grad, but a good hard run. Oliveira was injured early in his rookie season in 2019, so saw limited action, but has come back strong here for his delayed sophomore year.
He'll stand there in there to the right of Collaros. Collaros looking towards the end zone. Garvin Adams again, and he's got it. Ball pops loose. They're going to say no catch.
Yeah, he didn't survive the landing.
He had it, and as he went down, it seemed like when he hit, the ball popped up and loose. And that could have been a huge play for the Bombers.
Yeah, a couple of ball fakes in the backfield. Hold that defensive line. And Adams able to You know, this may be one. Mike O'Shea is looking at the replay on the big screen. He hasn't reached for that challenge flag yet. It kind of looked on that one angle like Adams may have taken a step or two with the ball tucked under his arm.
Rapina, and this one is no good. Braverman in the end zone will take it there and kill a little bit of time before taking a knee for the single. Let's get another look at Darvin Adams on what was very, very close to a catch. A little bit of a storyline developing here this afternoon between Darvin Adams and Tristan Decoux, as earlier you saw Adams chirping at somebody. We didn't know who. Turns out it was Tristan Decoux, and then they came together on this last play as well. Early season rivalry, Dwayne, I like it.
Yeah, second game of back-to-backs, right?
Decoux, a rookie out of Oregon State, spent some time in the XFL in 2020 with Dallas, and now here's one right up the gut. DJ Foster takes it down to the 35 as he breaks through the line and would not be stopped.
That's one that'll get you some momentum back. Foster in, spelling John White on this one, gets a crack, makes the most of it.
Had the touchdown on the ground earlier. That's his fourth carry of the game, by far his biggest. He'll get a breather as John White checks back in. They've had both of them out there together at points today as well. Braverman to the right of Arbuckle. Arbuckle gonna give it off to John White on a little bit of a draw, and he'll take it down inside the 35.
Well, getting back to that 1-2 punch in the, not just ground game, but sort of running back centric offense with which they have had some success. John White having some trouble with his helmet.
Looks like he's good to go. Arbuckle. Palmer showed some pressure. Arbuckle's going to backpedal. Now he's going to heave one up. That's going to be caught at the 5, stumbling down at the 2. Jean Brissett with his first catch in the Canadian Football League.
He had Brandon Alexander moved up on the play as if he was going to blitz, but then you see he plants his feet and starts to bail out. But he's not going to get back deep enough.
Major foul, spearing, Winnipeg. Half the distance to goal. First down.
Another flag on the Bombers. And now this ball will be set up at the 1-yard line for Toronto.
Big catch for the rookie. Jean Brissett, second overall pick back in 2020.
Here is Arbuckle. He's going to keep it and push ahead. Nick Arbuckle finds his way to the end zone. Touchdown, Argos. Arbuckle finishing it this time.
Well, they got burned by pressure on the safety blitz earlier in this quarter as a fumble was forced. They come back with the Bombers showing pressure. They take advantage of them. This time around, going over the top to Brissett to set up this touchdown.
Never in doubt for Arbuckle there. Beatty for the extra point. And that is good. 29-15 Toronto on top.
You sped it up, but you ended up taking 2.
Arbuckle with one through the air, now one on the ground as well. Here's a look at how this drive came together for Toronto.
Big play from DJ Foster, found a seam at the line of scrimmage, turned that into a big gain, taking the ball into Bomber territory. Just nice job in the pocket, buying time there from Arbuckle. The Bombers bringing pressure, Brissett with the catch. And then the plunge, making this a 2-score ball game.
Your newcomers coming up big on that drive. Now Winnipeg will need to attempt to regain the momentum. They've already done that once in this game. It was all Toronto in the early going, and largely on the strength of their defense, the Bombers managed to work their way back into this thing. They now trail by 14. Dustin Nielsen and Dwayne Ford with you. First half of the doubleheader here on TSN today. We'll send you to Regina a little bit later on, but a long way to go here at BMO. Beatty lets this one fly. That's deep. That'll be taken there by Nelson, just inside his own end zone. Nelson out to the 20. Nice move, stays on his feet, cuts back again, and he'll work his way close to the 30 before he's eventually forced out of bounds. Collaros completing just 44% of his passes so far here this afternoon.
Was just watching Darvin Adams as he came on the field, and of course had to cross paths once again with Tristan Decoux.
And?
Well, the defender had a little more to say this time as he currently holds the edge. You know, I was saying back-to-back games, but of course Adams didn't play in game 1 of this series, so they've developed their dislike very quickly.
Easy to do sometimes, I guess. Oliveira. Nothing opened up. And he gets stopped after a gain of just 1.
And of course, tons of time left in this game by Canadian football standards. But when you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you feel a need to answer before this one kind of slips away from you. Again, it has been such a game of momentum, a handful of big plays for each team. Bombers need to find an answer.
Looking to stay within striking distance here on the road. Collaros has that batted down. Looked like he had quite a bit of time to get rid of it, but eventually Charleston Hughes got his hands on another one. It's the second time today he's disrupted things for Collaros.
Yeah, and this is one where, from a Winnipeg perspective, the pressure can't happen. It's only 4 men involved in the rush for the Toronto Argonauts versus 5 offensive linemen. Yet the D-line still impacting the play.
Another 2 and out for the Bombers. 3 straight to start this half. 3 straight to start the ball game as well. So there's not been a lot of things going well early in the half for Winnipeg. They trail 29-15. Last night in Toronto, things lit up in Argos colors. A nice tribute to this team getting back here at home, and a tribute to Chris Schultz, who was with TSN for 20 years, 124 games with the Argos, and a great teammate on the field, and for you guys, a great teammate off the field as well, Dwayne.
Yeah, certainly had the opportunity to work with Schultz in both settings, a teammate with the Argos and of course at TSN, and no question one of my all-time favorites. Schultz, of course, moving over to TSN Radio in Toronto the last couple of seasons, doing a great job as Mike Hogan's broadcast partner on their game broadcast.
Big shoes to fill, literally, for Natey Adjei as he steps in on the radio broadcasts for Chris Schultz.
The irreplaceable Schultz.
Great way to describe him. $124 games for this Argonauts franchise. Like what he's seeing today as they push ahead here. And what an impression from DJ Foster today. He has been terrific. He had 60 yards before that one, and he just picked up at least 10 more.
Yeah, and you know what the Argos have done with their roster, dressing the two American running backs, is kind of a unique situation with a guy who isn't necessarily a kick return guy for you, and can often be game plan specific. But I tell you, DJ Foster has been impressive enough that I think they're going to have to find a way to keep him active.
New game plan moving forward.
Yeah.
Get the ball to DJ Foster. That's what they're going to do again. And they had White out there as well, both of them in the mix. And Foster picks up a couple of yards on that first down attempt.
Yeah, definitely seeing some different looks in terms of the way that they're using those two backs. When Foster scored his touchdown, they were in the game together.
This is after White had that really good week last week, 111 yards. You're thinking, hey, maybe John White's enough, but Ryan Dinwiddie, some other thoughts here, and he's got both of these guys involved.
Yeah, kind of one step ahead, basically providing a counter.
2nd and 8 on his own 53 for Arbuckle. He's got some time. Gets it to White. White caught it. They're going to say no catch. I thought he caught it, then got popped, and it got knocked loose, but they're going to say it's incomplete, and that will bring up 3rd down.
Yeah, I mean, I will leave that to the officials, as, again, to me, it looked like White caught the ball and turned.
So I wasn't crazy there. That's what I thought too, right? That'll bring up 3rd down and 8, so Medio kick it away. He's letting her fly from about his own 43, trying to drop one in there. That'll bounce just inside the 20, and it's going to roll all the way down and actually eventually end up in the end zone, where Nelson will hover above it as he takes a knee. And hey, congratulations to Mike. I told you he was going to get it. And then sure enough, there he is. Special teams tackle, 191. The most in league history.
Yeah, so fantastic at what he does. Once again, a guy who has battled his way as an underdog from being undrafted in the Canadian Football League. There's the one that broke the record.
First man in there on Braverman. Congratulations to Miller. He was in Edmonton from 2011 to 2016. Got a touchdown back in 2017.
There you go. Riverview, New Brunswick, his hometown.
Oliveira. Push of about 5 yards on first down for the Bombers, who do trail now by an even 15. Outside of one big shot to Darvin Adams, there really has not been anything going for this Winnipeg offense today. Kenny Lawler has just one catch for 6 yards. Rashid Bailey with a catch. Wolotarski just one catch. Calvin McKnight actually leads the way. He's got 3 of the 5 that were thrown in his direction. He's in the slot to the left of Collaros right here.
Yeah, and you look at all of McKnight's catches very close to the line of scrimmage.
Pressure coming on Collaros. Got it away. Darvin Adams has it batted down. Shaquille Richardson came around with his right hand and made sure our Adams could not hang on to that one.
A terrific defensive play from Shaq Richardson, as we mentioned. One of the few holdovers in a rebuilt Toronto Argonauts secondary. He was a guy who joined the team late in the 2019 season.
Four straight 2 and outs. There's a special teams tackle for you.
A suplex.
Flag on the play here. And the storyline continues to get intriguing.
Toronto, number 84. It's a 10-yard penalty. First down.
Darvin Adams And Tristan Decoux. That's a first-year guy getting in the grill of a vet here. Not backing down.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell her I love you, baby. Tell my mama happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mom, Duke. Miss Richardson. Mama, happy birthday, baby.
Birthday wishes being dished out on the sideline there. Arbuckle has the ball back again. Less than 2 to go in the third quarter. 30-15 the lead. Looking good here in his first start with Toronto. And another great push ahead by DJ Foster. He's working his way up towards 100 yards here today.
Yeah, a couple nice cuts from him in the backfield. Little misdirection with the pre-snap motion there. But Foster has certainly made an impact in his Argonaut debut. See Ryan Dinwiddie, Jarius Jackson, the OC over there.
First and 10, back to Foster again. And Foster again, good patience to wait and see where he can cut that ball ahead. And another very positive pickup on first down.
Yeah, he's shown that breakaway speed, and once again, you see him kind of stretch out the defense, get them running laterally, and then just sticking his foot in the dirt and getting upfield here. You see Nick Taylor so aware of his contained responsibility and outside leverage because of the way Foster threatens him with speed. It allows that opportunity to get north-south in the inside gap.
2nd and 1. Back again, and a first down yet again for DJ Foster. Probably not in many fantasy lineups around the league this week. He'll be a waiver wire darling this upcoming week, and John White will slide back in here as well. White, 9 carries for just 20 yards, and DJ Foster, like I mentioned, over 90 already.
Foster seeing his first action here again with no preseason, and you know, when you haven't played the CFL before with that 20-second play clock, sometimes the pace can take its toll a little bit on newcomers, as you saw him looking for a bit of a blow after a couple carries there.
Final play of the quarter. Arbuckle this time will throw, and that is a completion on the far side of the field as he goes back to Dejon Brissett's second catch of the game. Both of them big ones as well, as the Argos offense on the march. Yet again, a couple of blips on the radar today, but for the most part, this Argos offense is looking outstanding. They've got a 30-15 lead. Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have attempted to keep things close here, but the time of possession in this game is insane right now. The Argos with over 31 minutes through 3 quarters. You control the football that much, and you should end up winning this football game.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've done such a good job with the run game. We had John White over 100 yards last week. You've got DJ Foster approaching that milestone this week. You knew Winnipeg coming into this football game was going to try and limit John White, not let that run game going, as that was the thing that seemed to hurt them most last week. But I love the coaching job done by Ryan Dinwiddie, Jarius Jackson, in terms of putting the game plan together and putting the roster together in a way that allows them to continue to run the football despite what the defense may be trying to take away. They've really taken advantage of it by having things that play off of the presence of John White in the backfield.
23 first downs for Toronto, just 4 for the visitors from Winnipeg. Down 15. Bombers on defense here to start the quarter. And John White never really had a shot on that one. Dietrich Nichols was all over him.
Yeah, the rookie halfback coming downhill to flatten out that run, forcing White to run towards the sideline. Find Nichols lined up on that 50-yard line. from his halfback spot. Gets upfield in a hurry, outside leverage. See him grabbing on like a bulldog as White tried to give him the straight arm.
4-yard loss, 2nd and 14. Arbuckle, high snap, bobbles it, it's laying there. And Arbuckle is lucky enough to roll onto it before the Bombers could scoop it up. Mike Jones was right there too.
And that one with the high snap will go down as the Argonauts' 5th fumble of the ball game. We know the damage done by the first one. Jesse Griggs returned it for a touchdown.
That ball bounces loose as well, but quickly Charles Nelson secured it. Trying to run right underneath it and take it clean, and wasn't able to do it, but wisely hops on it. And now Collaros in this offense looking for some answers here today. 95 yards passing on 20 attempts, just 8 completions.
Yeah, you called it earlier, Dustin. It's just the inability to find consistency.
Takes the handoff, has a man wide open on the far side of the field, and that'll be first down, Kelvin McKnight. Team leading 4th reception of the day.
And nice job on play action here, getting Collaros on the move. Changing up that launch point a little bit. Something they'll have to be aware of, as the Argos are certainly going to be anticipating a lot of throwing situations with the Bombers down by 2 majors here.
That's the first down of the second half. This is knocked down at the line. Chris Edwards getting in the face of Collaros.
And this is exactly why, as I was just talking about, changing the launch point, right? Between, you see Edwards lined up at the end of the line by Charleston Hughes here. But a couple of things in terms of changing the launch point is you change the rhythm, so to speak, for the pass rushers in terms of where they're targeting with their get-offs, when they're getting upfield, force them to redirect a little bit, but also a situation like that, get them out of the pocket and get people out of your passing lanes.
A bit of a delayed handoff there. Oliveira, and that'll bring up 3rd down. Quite a bit left to work. Quite a bit of work left to do there, I should say. And once again, they'll have to kick it away. Leggio comes out to let her fly.
And now this is an opportunity to sort of win the exchange of field position if they can get a good coffin corner type punt and good cover from their punt unit here. And then you got to follow that up with a 2-and-out from your defense to hopefully get a short field for your offense starting their next possession.
That's Cameron Judge down on the field. I'll try to get you an update next. Ryan Dinwiddie, 1-1 here in the early stages of his career with the Argos. For more on him, let's send it down to Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Ryan Dinwiddie, head coach of the Argos, said that it was definitely an adjustment moving from quarterbacks coach with the Stampeders to a head coach of a completely different franchise, simply because he hasn't done it before. And the one silver lining of 2020 is it gave him time to get adjusted to the new city on the eastern side of the nation. The one thing that Dinwiddie said that he wants to continue to work on is his relationship with the players. He says he can be a little bit too harsh. He can be very hard on them in practice. Oh, to be a fly on the wall in that film room. And it is no accident, as many people know, that so many Calgary Stampeders are here right now. The one thing about Dinwiddie did say about that is if he does not have to worry about the dressing room, he knows he has a good team.
Thank you, Jermaine, and thank you, Jermaine, for leaving the desk at the Sports Center to come be with us here today, Dwayne.
Yes, the comfort of the air-conditioned studio. Jermaine is sweating it out down on the sidelines. A true warrior.
It is warm here today. Oh, look at him.
He's just fighting through it. A true professional, Jermaine Franklin, ladies and gentlemen.
Round of applause. Round of applause for Jermaine Franklin. Toronto almost is looking as good as Jermaine in that suit today with this 30-16 lead right now. Under 12 minutes to go.
Yeah, and I will say that that punt, you know, I mean, the single point maybe saves you from going for two, but not what a struggling Winnipeg offense wanted, right? It was about the field position with that punt from midfield.
John White got stopped before he even got back to the line of scrimmage. The way the Bombers were reacting, that ball might have popped loose briefly, but Toronto does hold on to it. And as good as Foster has been today, John White, there really hasn't been anywhere for him to run.
Yeah, definitely White would be the focus defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, as we'll take another look. That ball just popped loose right at the end.
16 yards for White, 97 for Foster. Arbuckle throwing here. That's read well. Collins with the catch. And they'll take the loss. And Beattie will have to come out, kick it away.
They know we coming back, right?
Shane Gauthier, former member of the Laval Rouge et Or, getting some defensive reps to go along with his usual special teams work.
Bombers could use a big return here from Charles Nelson. Offense hasn't been able to click very often today. Field position would be nice. Nelson will take it at the 40. Nelson goes down at the 46. And Zach Collaros will once again get the ball. Hasn't been great field position for the Bombers yet here today. They trail by 14. Beattie got it away just in time. Well, don't miss the action hit critics call tremendously fun and the best studio film of the year so far, Godzilla vs. Kong, now streaming only on Crave. Fierce combatants. Huge right there, too.
That was a big right.
A big right. No chance he's getting up. What is this, a movie? Polaris. He could use a big shot here as well. Trailing, pressure from behind, takes off, and eventually wrapped up around the 50. As Edwards, who came around to try to get him, tracks him down as Collaros looked for some breathing room.
Well, and this play kind of sums up the terrific all-around defensive effort from the Toronto Argonauts thus far. Combination of coverage and pressure. Collaros has nowhere to go with the football. Chris Edwards making the tackle. You see defensive coordinator Glenn Young, former member of that Bombers staff.
2nd and 6 for Collaros. Some pressure coming here. There is a flag, a couple of them now as it's complete. Oliveira's got it. It would be enough for a first down, but flags around the Winnipeg 52.
Just an aside as we wait for the call, but
Offside, Toronto, number 6. The penalties decline. Result of the play is a first down.
Kong would clearly have a big reach advantage over Godzilla.
And you always pick up.
I mean, I don't want to overanalyze.
Have you ever done anything for boxing or MMA?
Just an observation.
Big time reach advantage.
He would want to keep the match standing up.
36-foot reach advantage. Here's Collaros. Near side, that's complete. And Lawler just steps out of bounds. Looked like he'll be a bit short of that first down, but if you're going to need to put some points on the board here, might want to see more of Kenny Lawler late in this game.
We're working the sideline here. beat out. Yeah, you saw a little frustration from him, recognizing there may have been a couple more yards to be had along that sideline before he stepped out.
Second and short, Claros. Oliveira, he's got the first down, and a little bit more for good measure. Takes it down inside the 40. And a much-needed first down for Claros in Winnipeg.
Yeah, really one of the rare times in this ballgame, Dustin, that we've seen Winnipeg string together a few positive plays consecutively. Need to keep this going and find the end zone.
In the first half, they only had 95 yards of offense, but their defense had scored some points for them. Down 30-16 here. First and 10 for Claros. Pressure coming, steps up inside it. Claros still going, and eventually they'll get to him at the 40. Pressure was coming, and Vontae Diggs got to him.
Yeah, it was a nice save by Oliveira. Kind of dive and pick up the first one. I believe it was Chris Edwards. Coming off the edge, you'll see the running back Oliveira diving to allow Claros to step up. But the Argos keep coming in waves. Diggs, who came over from Edmonton at the end of training camp. Nice pickup for this Argo defense.
And into the game because of the injury to Judge. He makes a sack there. Claros with a ton of time this time, and that one incomplete. Looking for Rasheed Bailey. Claros frustrated. And they'll have to settle for a field goal attempt.
Yeah, Claros again with Enoch Mwamba closing that time. Throw is a tad behind Bailey, but obviously a very catchable football. See his frustration with himself.
Rapina will attempt this one from close to 48. Missed from 37 earlier in the game. Can he get it from 48? No, that one is wide left. And it'll be brought out of the end zone and back out to about the 7 by Braverman. Rapina 0 for 2 here today. And his Bombers down by 14.
Well, this game just the start of our Super Saturday on TSN. Coming up next, we got the Ottawa Red Blacks taking on the Saskatchewan Roughriders from Mosaic. But for now, let's get you back to BMO Field.
Thank you, Kate. A look of frustration there maybe on the face of Zach Claros. Just really hasn't been able to get anything going outside that one 51-yard touchdown to Adams.
Yeah, just really having trouble finding their groove offensively today, and credit the Argos defense for making life tough on them.
Arbuckle, a completion on the far side of the field, out to the 30. Curly Gittens Jr. with his first catch of the day.
A long one out to that wide side. Yeah, Eric Rogers had a lot of positive words to say about the youngster. Curly Gittens out of Wilfrid Laurier. Saying, you know, Rogers is trying to help him with kind of the feel for the game, saying he's so much in the book and by the book in terms of making sure he lines up perfectly. And
7 different players to catch a ball today from Arbuckle as they hand it back off to DJ Foster.
Gittens, a young guy who both Rogers and head coach Ryan Dinwiddie said was one of the Argos' best players in training camp this year. You know, I always think, especially for Canadian players, guys coming out of youth sports schools, that there's a big jump from year 1 to year 2, just in terms of comfort.
I was going to say, just getting to know, like, how to be a pro, essentially. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. You know, and adjusting to the speed of the game. I mean, remember a million years ago at the start of my career, like year one, things that felt like they were coming at me a mile a minute, and that I just kind of struggled to grasp. Everything just kind of made sense all of a sudden in year two, and things slowed down. You could process what was happening around you to be able to make decisions, make adjustments on the fly, and so on. You see that with a guy like Curly Gittins.
Just an off season to think about it, or was there a moment when all of a sudden you said, hey, wait a second, it clicked?
Yeah, you know what, I would say it becomes just a sudden thing. Like, I mean, the difference between walking into the dressing room for training camp in year two versus year one, where you walk in and you're comfortable and you know everybody, you're not on edge. If you have the same coaching staff, there's a level of comfort and knowledge of the system that it's everything that comes at you every day isn't new. You've seen things before, and now it's kind of review, so it becomes a little bit easier.
Blake, center, out of the game. DJ Foster, over 100 in this game.
Timeout, Toronto.
And the Argos will take a timeout here with exactly 5 minutes on the clock. One really good drive here. Eating this clock a little bit and really take care of this game for you if you're Toronto right now.
Yeah, and if they can continue to ride those two running backs the way that they have over the last couple of weeks, definitely gives them a good opportunity to control the ball and, by extension, the clock.
Coming out of the timeout, Braverman checks into the game. He'll be in the slot to the right of Arbuckle. Foster, right next to his quarterback, picks up a block. Arbuckle will throw. Rogers will catch, and he'll take it out to the 50. It was a big first half for Eric Rogers. He had 54 yards, and that's his biggest play of the second half.
Yeah, and I was thinking that, you know, since Daniels went out of the game, it was the two of them so much in the first half. This dynamic combination often working together on the boundary side of the formation. Rogers has been very quiet since Daniels went out of the game after taking that hit from Brandon Alexander, but coming up with a big one there. Getting a big chunk of real estate for the Toronto Argonauts.
1st and 10 on the 50 for Arbuckle. Trying to seal this thing away. John White with the catch out of the backfield. Pick up a couple yards on 1st down.
And now you see, with Foster having done so much damage, they go play action to him, little dump in the flat to John White.
Timeout, Winnipeg.
And in the beginning of the game, it was the other way around.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Coming off White's 100-yard game in week 2.
5 seconds.
So now you're a Toronto team that in back-to-back games has taken different running backs for 100-yard games. I mean, some credit due for this line.
Yep, absolutely.
2 yards on the play.
John White, just 12 carries last week to get 111, and I think Foster tonight needed 10 to get to 101. So they've been picking up pretty good chunks on the ground over the last couple of weeks against the Bombers. Last week in Winnipeg wasn't enough. They came up empty. Here they lead by 14. Arbuckle, wide side of the field, and that knocked away at the last second as he tried to drop it in the bucket there for Ricky Collins, but Josh Miller breaks it up.
Yeah, perfectly timed play on the football there from Josh Miller, the halfback. Nice change of direction. Running the route right there with the receiver, Collins.
So Winnipeg will get this ball back. Time not their friend. Trailing by 14, just under 4 to go. Beatty will let this fly from his own 41. Nelson trying to hustle up underneath. It bounces over his head. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, I think that some guys on the Argonaut cover team thought that the ball had touched Charles Nelson, thus making it live. I think it was Rob Robbie Smith, the first man down, thought that the returner had touched the ball here when he reached up, but clearly did not.
Yeah, Smith wasn't messing around. Nelson's like, what's going on here?
No yards interference, Toronto, number 40. It's a 15-yard penalty, first down, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg will get the ball yet again, and they have not had it much today. 37-28 to 18-51. Twice as much possession for Toronto today. That's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that you can win with a time of possession like that is either if you're constantly hitting big plays or your defense is getting touchdowns. The Bombers did get a touchdown on a big play to Darvin Adams. They got a defensive touchdown, but not enough. You'd kind of need multiples in each of those categories to make up for a time of possession where you're getting doubled.
Collaros wants to move things a little quicker now on second and short near side, and that will be complete at the 40. Kenny Lawler. That'll be first down for the Bombers.
Timeout.
Near enough of those
Winnipeg.
yet today either.
It's their second and final timeout.
Coach O'Shea, knowing with that 3-minute warning just around the corner, use that timeout right here. Well, it was a good start for Winnipeg this year. Take care of business at home, head out here on the road. One of the things that Arbuckle talked about was going up against that crowd in Winnipeg as well, and how much it helps the defense because it confuses the offense on such a regular basis, especially in big moments, and maybe that's played out here today.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that he elaborated on with that just had to do with getting forced into a silent count situation, is that eventually, by watching cues and so on, if you're forced to do silent count enough, the defense is eventually going to figure out the timing of your silent count.
Collaros with the Toronto crowd trying to get on him. Throws it deep looking for Lawler. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Lawler brings it in. Defended well, but not well enough. What a catch by Kenny Lawler.
Well, we just talked about big plays, and Collaros and Lawler provide one there, Dustin.
Is it too little, too late? We'll see. Lawler, though, on the highlight reel. Canada's biggest day of racing takes place tomorrow with the first jewel of the OLG Canadian Triple Crown. It's the 162nd Queen's Plate at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on TSN and CTV. That is after you spend the morning watching this catch again and again. Well, Peters kind of helped that ball down to him.
Lawler stole it from him.
Collaros dumps it off. Wolotarski will take it to the 20. Second catch of the game for Wolotarski.
Argo defense coverage sort of laid off a little bit here, allowing Wolotarski to set up for the little underneath screen.
The sooner the better here for Collaros. And Lawler drops it. He's already looking to where he was going to go and couldn't hang on. One amazing catch to one that you probably should have had.
Yeah, we've had a couple of drops from Winnipeg receivers in this one.
Second and 10 from the Toronto 19. This is the first time that the Bombers have been in the red zone today. Just over 2.5 minutes left here for Coach O'Shea and his club. Their first road game of the year. Last year they were 3-6 on the road in the regular season. Collaros here has to step up and finds a man. It's Lawler again at the 15, and that will bring up third down.
And once again, that pocket just collapses around Zach Collaros, forcing him on 2nd and long to settle for that short check down.
3rd and 6, got to have something here for Collaros. That will be complete and a good second effort to push ahead from Rasheed Bailey, and they do, in fact, get that first down.
Yeah, Bailey spins off contact here. He's close to the first down marker when he catches it. But making sure he's ducking underneath that first hit.
1st and goal from the 7. Collaros finds a man. Touchdown, Bombers! As he goes to Rasheed Bailey. And Winnipeg is hanging around.
Yeah, great look off to the flat here, which opens up the lane to that slant coming inside.
Second touchdown of the season for Bailey. Had one last week.
Yeah, first 2 of Rasheed Bailey's career, in fact.
For Pena to cut it to 7, and the extra point is good. And we've got a 1-score football game here at BMO Field in Toronto. Now, if there's one defense that can make a big play for you late in the game, might be the Bombers.
Well, they made some big plays here, no question. You're going to see as Zach Collaros looks out wide to the right, you'll see the defense starts to flow that way. You've got another route coming outside in, that slant that he'll hit for the touchdown. Opens, looks wide. You see McKnight jump on that fake bubble screen as they pursue out wide. Window opens up. Collaros to Bailey. Set us up for an interesting finish here at BMO Field.
Second passing touchdown of the day for Collaros. Argos and his team on the field. Legio, where's he going to put it? He's going to put it deep. Braverman backpedaling, gets it at the 9. Braverman back to the 20, and he'll calmly slide out of bounds at the 21 with 2:07 on the clock. Jeffcoat been good today. Does he have another big play in him?
Yeah, we've seen a couple of forced fumbles from Jackson Jeffcoat coming off the edge. Hey, big plays and defensive scores, the only way to overcome that time of possession deficit. Need one here.
Opportunity for Arbuckle in his first start with his new club here. Put together a drive and lock up a win. 2:07 on the clock. His team up 30-23. Arbuckle throwing a completion at the 30, and Ricky Collins Jr. will stay on his feet. Collins Jr. down inside the 50 before he is taken down. Kill some time, pick up about 40, that'll do.
Yeah, massive clutch play call, throw and catch here from the Toronto Argonauts. You know that the Bombers are going to be coming after him. Hot read is on, quick slant from Collins allows Arbuckle to get the ball out quickly. Again, quarterback knows the heat is coming. He's got to speed it up and get the ball out in a hurry. Just executed perfectly.
A 300-yard debut for Arbuckle with his new club as well. And we get a whistle.
Timeout, Toronto. That's their final timeout.
Just as Arbuckle was about to pull the trigger on that. 310 yards officially for Arbuckle. You got to be pretty happy with that if you're, Dinwiddie and his quarterback.
Yeah, the overall performance, again, ball security will be part of the discussion in terms of cleaning things up, but I think that one negative is far outweighed by the positives offensively for Toronto in this ballgame.
1st and 10 on the Winnipeg 47. Arbuckle with the veteran, John White. Hands it off to him, and John White's going to push ahead. Close to a 1st down. Shades of what we've seen from DJ Foster so far today as well.
Yeah, and they're making no effort to disguise what they're doing as they bring in a big team. Declan Cross, the fullback, Levi Noel, the big receiver who will occasionally line up as tight end, came in. They weren't trying to hide the fact that they're running the ball. They now bring in a couple more offensive linemen, making it even less of a secret what they're looking to do to wind down the clock here.
Clock ticks. And BMO. Arbuckle set to keep it and push it ahead. Arbuckle trying to find some space. He had a decent second push. It's going to be close. And it's going to be close enough. They're going to call for a measurement here. Late in this ball game. And it's going to be short.
Yep. Leaving the big bodies out there. So we expect it to be another plunge with this short yardage unit.
Toronto at home here again in week 4, visit from Edmonton. Winnipeg goes home for a Sunday game against Calgary. And it's just maybe under a yard here for Arbuckle and the Argos to essentially wrap this thing up. Arbuckle, can he get it this time here on 3rd down? He's going to move ahead, and a pretty good effort by that Bombers D. You think he got it, Dwayne?
Well, he definitely thinks he got it.
He got it. He got it.
And enough of a soft spot over on that left side. High fives and hugs in the Argo huddle as they recognize with 47 seconds left and a fresh set of downs.
I almost think you could see his smile as he was going down to the ground. Like, I think he knew he had it, and he's already smiling as he went into the pile. As Arbuckle, reasons to celebrate today.
And cue the victory formation. Run down the clock.
A big day for that man, Dinwiddie. First win for him here at home, waiting a long time to get it with the pandemic and the cancellation of a season, but he and a quarterback he brought with him get the job done today here against the Bombers.
Yeah, Nick Arbuckle talked to us this week about coming to play in Toronto, and he compared it to his experience in college at Georgia State, where you are seen as a small program, but in a big city, in Atlanta, where there's lots going on in the sporting landscape. If you want your share of it, you got to win. And he says that's how he feels here in Toronto, is you want your share of attention, you want to bring people out, get people's attention, you've got to win, you've got to be successful, and Nick Arbuckle sure did his part here today.
They bounce back in the second half of a home and home.
The Argos with Nick Arbuckle leading the way, 310 yards passing, touchdown in the air, touchdown on the ground as well for Arbuckle, and the Argos in the win column at home.
The Women's World Hockey Championship, Sunday on TSN.
Nielsen saying thank you for joining us here at BMO Field in Toronto. Let's send it back to Kate in the pen.
And alongside Jim Barker, Davis Sanchez, joined remotely by Milt Stiegel and Matt Donegan. And what an impressive performance by the Toronto Argos as they come home to BMO for the first time in 660.